Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 17 of my tutorial series for Songs of SYX. Today we will go into the military topic. We're going to play around on the world map. We're going to play around with an embassy and we're going to work around with armies. So there's a lot of new things in this episode, and it is one of the pretty much last episodes for the series because soon we have explored all that the game has in store for us. So first of all, for mostly we're going to start building the administration before we need it. It's pretty annoying if you are building it when you are needing it. So the administration is for now a building that we don't require. I'm just building it preemptively, as the moment you start needing the administrational points is the moment that you will be not happy about needing to produce them before you use them, so to say. Now, we're going to go now for not too much. That is for our... Well, that's more than enough. We could increase the capacity here, but for the sake of this tutorial, we will leave it like that. So, this requires a bit of paper, as we are now entering the tech realms where paper is more commonly used, and we're building the embassy. So, the embassy is practically your espionage center. You use the embassy to find out how strong or not strong your neighbors are. You use the workstations to get ambassadors, that's the word, brain fart, and we're going to play around with these in a hot minute. So, while that is building, we now move over to our military stuff. Oh, wait a sec, we need a couple of hands more here. By the way, before I go into the next topic, I wanted to go over a topic that was pretty interesting. We had a bit of a food shortage, and I wanted to point out that it really helped out to pick up a higher level on the spoilage technology. It is fairly cost efficient. It's really low, and to stack it up several levels. And as you see here, fruit is now only decaying much slower, and so is the vegetable. This really made my stockpiles last a lot longer. Just wanted to recommend that. Now, we have been silently training up our armies by having recruits on the archery range and on the training range here. These guys are found in this menu here, and we have 4 divisions, but we haven't really worked out a lot with these. Up here, we see how many people we have, how many of these are soldiers, and how many of these are recruits. A soldier is fully trained, a recruit is not. We see here a couple of other informations. This is the level of melee training for our troops, and this is the level of archery training for our troops. And here you can already notice that our troops might look very trained, but as a matter of fact, it's just a baseline coding. So when you select one of your banners here, you can press edit. And here we can now configure a lot of things. You get, by the way, the same thing if you just press create. You get a exact template looking like this another time. So let's move on over this. We define first up what kind of species the banner should be composed of, or the division. We select how many people they are in. We select how much training they should have. This pretty much determines how much time they have except for apart from soldiering. If you put this high enough, the people that are on the training program will most likely stay most of the time on the training program to sustain this training. Here we get to select now their gear. That's a pretty interesting thing. We get to select between leather armor and plate armor. As you see here, these are mutually exclusive. We can't have both. Leather armor is lightweight, penalizes speed only moderately, and offers only moderate defenses, whereas plate armor, of course, penalizes speed a lot, also your offensive abilities, but offers the most possible armor. We have then the different types of weapons that we can pick. Here, Warhammer is not mixable with anything. When we go for the falcata, we can mix that with shield or with bow. So you can here totally individualize the composition of your banners. Here the rule of thumb is quite simple. The more pips you invest into something, the more they gear themselves up with that. And you see down here how that impacts your stats. So for example, down here, we now see how that will impact the performance of our squad. Now, this is offensive skill, defensive skill. Force, that is the amount of force that your squadron applies, tossing people around and such. Hit points, goes without saying, I guess, and here is a breakdown between their pierce damage and armor and slash damage and armor, and last but not least, moral and ammunition. So you can configure this to your own liking. Down here you'll see how much time it will take to reach that specified goal, and that showcases quite well how much work is involved with a proper army. So you can really spend a lot of time until these guys are ready for that job. What's really important to note here is that these guys are currently unequipped, basically. There is a green pip on, or green bar below these. That is just because we don't have anything assigned. So don't you get yourself fooled. These guys are practically worthless on the field. You would need to configure each and every one of these divisions before they can actually do something good. So since I don't want to spend that much time for preparing that army, and since I really don't feel like a Cretonian army would be a perfect idea to begin with, you can also start using here, when you go into the world menu in the army section, you have here an army. You can go here. That's the screen where we select, where we compose our army. So here we either recruit from conquered domains, we don't have any yet, from our own city, that would be the troops that we have inspected just a moment ago, and mercenaries. So here we can hire a squadron of mercenaries. That's what we're going to use for this tutorial, as these come ready equipped with gear and can be used quite decently right from the get-go. So let's head back here. We have an embassy down, and we have an administration down. The administration produces administrational points. These are useless if you are not governing some area. Since we are just governing our city here, that's all that we're ruler of. Lovely little anthill. But that doesn't need administration points, and that cannot utilize administration points. So this thing will now silently drain a bit of our paper, but that is totally okay. We don't mind. The embassy doesn't cost us any money. When we go now into the world menu, we can now select the capitals around us, and we see that we can inspect them a tad bit. We see a bit of their composition of people. We see how many people there are. So here, things look like that. And as a rule of thumb, the more people there are in an area, the more powerful they are. So for our example here, since we want to conquer somebody that we can administer, we're going to inspect the realm of Haliza. So we click there, and this bar up here is your espionage bar. You send your envoys over here, and now let's fast forward a bit, and our envoys now gain support. While we gain support, we will gain information about the neighboring empire. You also know a few things about their climate, their fertility, how the terrain is made out of, and what minerals are present. Haliza is not a favorable target for domination, but for the sake of this tutorial, it's perfect, since they're pretty weak. So we gain now, with rising support, more and more information about what can be produced well here, how their religion is composed of, how much money there can be plundered from these guys, and lastly, once we reach the 50% mark, we can also see how the military on the other side is composed. So this is the point where you can then evaluate if you want to attack the people or not, because I highly recommend you to always do your espionage homework to check out what's on stake here, as this is the information that you want to have. You can also mouse over these people and check out. These have 2 suits of leather armor. Their training is 7.5 pips, I don't know. But you also can see their power rating, so you have a full-on information about what's going on their side. Now, let's continue with the next part of this wonderful game. So we have now the envoys. You can use them on your environment as you see fit. I would recommend you to keep at least one of these guys here to hold a little bit of a baseline level, or however you want to put it. We can also send them to our neighbors here to Novaster and check them out, whatever. So let's move on over and talk about how to conquer some place so you can use those sweet administration points. So we're going to use the denarii in our wallet to raise a mercenary army. Mercenary armies come with a full-on geared out squadron, and therefore they're pretty good to begin with. They come with daily costs though, so that is something that you really should check out. And another thing that I want to mention here, with a short-term warfare, it ain't that important, the army supply depots needs to be configured that they pick up these items here. So 1 depot for each good, and then you can... then they will be automatically filled with the goods for the army. I haven't fully figured out whether or not the mercenary armies need to be fulfilled by you. I had the impression as if the money was all they needed. That needs some proofing from somebody else though, because I really haven't had the opportunity to try that out in detail. But for your own armies, I know that you need these army supply depots, and you need 1 of each kind for, well, for all that you have mustered, because these items, I haven't mentioned it closely enough there, I'm very sorry. Everything you equip these folks has a wear out rate, so you always need to replace that, otherwise your armies will grow ineffective. So, like I said, I don't know if the mercenaries require that or not. I'd really like some feedback from somebody who has played around with this V65 military a bit more. I cannot tell you right now, but I do know if you want to go for a bigger military campaign, you should absolutely have this prepared. Don't go into a bigger campaign without supply depots filled to the brim with all these items that you require for the restocking of your army. What I'm doing here in this tutorial is foolish. This city is not at the point where it should start dominating its environment, because we need to flesh out our own economy more closely. But I figured for the sake of tutorial, I can explain it quite well here, and that's what we're doing. So I just wanted to clarify that, as I feel like I'm putting off not the best example of gameplay here. Anyways, let's move over. So our army, when we select it here, we can now move it. As you see here, the army can move on the white squares, it can intercept or attack other moving convoys, and it can besiege other cities. So we now know that Halisa is attackable for us. We have about 4 times the fighting power of their side. You see up here again how these armies are geared out. I don't know, maybe they would be more effective if I'd be staffing them out beforehand. I haven't tried that out yet. I'm very sorry about that, but it doesn't matter that much, as I repeat, do this before attacking. This is only to make things faster on my end, so I don't have to prepare days and days for this tutorial. Okay, so let's get on over and attack Halisa. All you need to do is left-click now and press Besiege. As you see here, the army will now move over to Halisa, and now we get a question if we really want to wage war. Yes, we do. And now you get the siege button. So when you siege somebody, you get to either assault them, wait it out, or lift the siege. Ideally, if you come with your own homegrown army, you'd be waiting, because you are supplying your army externally with goods, so you can wait it out until they are starved out, and then you assault with no casualties. Since we are here playing with a mercenary army and we want to get the job done real fast, we're going to do it with a direct assault. But I'd recommend here again, with my homegrown army, I'd be just sitting it out, supply them casually from the homeland, and wait until they give up by themselves, or I can launch an assault that doesn't cost me any casualties. That being said, we do this now the brutal way. So, victory. We can now select if we want to take slaves here, so you can just pick up slaves. You are there also asked if you want to spare them, sack them, or raise them. As you see here, the loot is increasing with that, and we can then select if we want to leave them alone. We can also make them our puppet regime. They will be a new faction then, or we can occupy them. We will occupy them this time, and this will then be now a part of our empire. There we go, hooray! So this is now ours, and this is what we see over there. This is basically the city of Haliza. You see there are currently people, the population is lowering quite tremendously because they've been smacked twice in a short period of time, and they're not feeling too well about that. We surely understand this. So at this point now we can define here now what tax rate there is. That's the amount of taxes they just pay you money-wise, but with a completely devastated city like that, it ain't that easy. And we see here now the other readouts about their the well-being of the city. Conscripts, these are people that we can now use for our own armies if we'd wanted to, and how the population is composed, and we can also select how we want to treat them. And down here begins the wonderful world of administrational gameplay. So we have here our administrational points. These are required for that part. We have here workforce, and we have build points. So every region of yours can be now cultivated like that. Here you see the amount of buildings. The first thing you can build is a city hall. So the city hall costs you a certain amount of denarii, a certain amount of administration points, and it yields workforce, build points, yields taxes, and increases the region's capacity. So we're playing kind of a 4x game now, as we are now building a city hall here, which can be also upgraded, as you see there, but it requires certain thresholds to be fulfilled there. So we want to have a benefit from that city, so we're going to plant up a vegetable farm there, because we totally need that for our own home city. As you see now, on the taxes side, we have now vegetables as a regular taxed good and a bit of more money. So here it's the same thing. This can be also upgraded. It requires here, though, build points and not population. So, and a couple of denarii on top of that. So build points, how do we create these? We have the builder here, which is the most direct way of creating these. It eats up a bit of denarii and workforce. So here again, we have these three resources as our main ingredients. This thing can be again upgraded, and it will then yield a bit, it will require a bit of more workforce, but it will crank out another build point here. So we are going to install another fruit farm here, just like that. It's not that ideal, but these are the two things that my city wants the most. So we have now that, and now we can expand on the builders here, just like that. And as you see here, your administrational points are melting like ice in the sunshine like that. So the key here is that you need to maintain those administration points. That is absolutely vital, because just like research points, they will decay. And we all know things that decay fall back. I haven't experimented yet how it is if your administrational points decay back. I would assume that things just get destroyed. So let's see. Apart from that, we have also the capability of building all manner of different useful things. And that is basically summing up how this works. It's just like building your own city from a remote location, and well, pretty much that is where things go. I haven't fully figured out the ratios where all the build points and those come from, so I probably need to do another video about that, but the fundamentals are just like that. This is now a part of your empire, and it'll yield taxes regularly. So the side effects of devastation, as you see here, will subside over time. The population will grow. So here you see the target population, and over time it will go. It will be better for these guys. Of course, keep in mind that everything that you have conquered can be taken away from you, so you should have the ability to defend it, and therefore that's what I'm talking about with this city is not fit for that task. But it is also pretty much the last thing that I had to teach for this game. The last things that we haven't done yet are tourism, but that's basically just plucking up a inn and wait for the tourists to come for more income. I think there might be 1 or 2 more episodes up in the future, but these will, from the time that I release this, take a while longer, as I need to play the game now more to give you really a good and well-researched advice on things like the advanced labs, the universities, and the libraries and all these. Because the problem that I got right now with this city is a mess. It's just built on the fly to show you how things work, but for those high-end buildings, you would prefer to go for a city that has a sort of an efficiency going on for itself, and this city is many things, but not efficient. Therefore, we're cutting this episode today a tad bit shorter than the previous ones. I will return in this tutorial series with, I think, a couple of more details with the administrational menu, and I want to return one more time with the universities and the education system, because that is, as a matter of fact, actually something worth talking about again. So we're probably going to be in for another empire building and university building episode, but probably in a different city. I can't tell you yet. Either way, that's it for now. I think we have covered pretty much everything. There is still the matter of irrigation. Yes, that is on the table as well. I need to do the channel and water pump thing, but I want to wait if this gets changed up until the beta is in full release, or if the system stays like that. Also, I need to play around with it myself, but that just as a side note. So the series is almost finished at this point. Probably 1 or 2 more episodes to go. And at this point, I want to make a little bit of an advertisement for my upcoming new series for Songs of SYX, because I will do now a gameplay series. Currently, I am not sure where it will be headed towards to. I only know that you will find the link to this new series in the description box below, heading over to episode 1 of that. So you might want to check that out, but it might take a couple of days after this episode has been released. So thanks for watching. Drop me your comments down below. If you have any further questions with things that I haven't explained yet and haven't mentioned yet that I want to do them in the future, let me know. I will see that it will be coming up in the extra episodes for this series and being answered there. Good. So a thumbs up would be wildly appreciated, because the algorithm likes those, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That is really a cool and nice way of supporting the channel. And like I said, the description box has a couple of links. Among these, also my Discord channel, so I'd be really happy if you'd be stopping by, having a chat with like-minded gamers and my person as well. So that would be really nice. And last but not least, check out Patreon, PayPal, or Buy Me a Coffee. If you'd be supporting this channel, I'd be forever grateful. And a big thanks to all of you who already did and are doing so. You are truly amazing. I'm very grateful to have all of you, and especially you folks watching these videos, even after my personal ad rolls. You are really the finest. So thanks for that. Have a wonderful day and see you next time.